Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for joining us at the Spirit Room this evening. My name is Holly. I'm the gallery manager here, and I have the pleasure to introduce Miss Chelsea and her exhibit, Things We Cannot See. If you want to go ahead, you.
Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. This is my show titled Things We Cannot See. I want to thank the Spirit Room for hosting and having me as an artist and having the show. It's been a good challenge and a pleasure to work on it for about a year of working and thinking ahead. So as an artist, I really enjoy being three things: as an artist, a teacher, and I learned how to be a researcher through MICA and doing my graduate work there. So what I've learned through the process is that doing and being in a contemporary art school is embracing the unexpected, and Things We Cannot See sort of relates to not only when you create work, there's many things that happen that you can't predict. And with printmaking, it kind of relates to, there are many ways of printmaking that you see a process follow through from beginning to end, and you want your prints to look the same. But in my graduate studies, I tried to embrace the unexpected and take those traditional methods and work with them and that unexpected quality that happens. So throughout, that process, and I've learned a lot about continuing to be an artist and a researcher. Last summer I took this pairs workshop at NDSU, and it was a printmaking workshop where I was able to investigate or challenged with the ability to select a text and an image. And with that text I came across this Basho poem. And the poem reads, "There's nothing you can see that is not a flower, and there's nothing you can think that is not the moon." And within that poem, what resonated with me was the contemplation of dualities. Flowers are very concrete and they're grounded, and the moon is very much non-tangible, and it lives in the sky. And through that, I came to create a couple pieces for the show that are wood engravings of a moon and a flower, and then a few pieces that I expanded upon that were simply about mark making and atmosphere. And so this piece and this piece are the newest, and then the two small pieces on the wall. And then I think ultimately, through that experimental process, sometimes I use baby powder. I remember coming across plaster, combs, pencils. There's a lot that happens on the plate that you can't predict, and you're just working with materials as you go. And it's those little surprises along the way. So this plate might have started with pure black ink, and I printed it once, and something happened, and I take that same plate, do something else to it, and something new happens. And over that progression, you just really can't predict, and that's the beautiful part about what you get. Several of the pieces are from my thesis show, where there were about 30 pieces in the show, and it was really nice to just have that challenge to expand on. So I just would like, I guess out of anything, of viewing the few pieces that I have here is just for people to embrace printmaking as a contemporary art form, and just think about it as not the traditional, and maybe contemplate the poem and look at the pieces and find what you want to see, and enjoy it for yourself. And thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Does anyone have questions?
Oh, right.
Oh, yes, you don't get to escape. I actually have a question.
Sure.
So you were saying that with your plates, every time that you do it, you basically lay something down, you print it, and then something happens, and then you come back in and you do something different to it. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that you're essentially only ever getting one of each image, so each piece is a one of a kind?
Right, and in that sense, it's very different from, making multiples. So each piece is more like a painting in that respect. Yeah.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of gives them a little bit more of a different meaning too,
Mm-hmm.
since you're never going to be able to replicate them as they are.
And these pieces were created with a screen printing technique. So this is more monotype on a plate and manipulating the plate. This piece is taking a big screen that's larger than the piece of paper and running ink or clear ink or graphite powder. In this case, it's charcoal powder, multiple times through the screen.
Interesting. So how did you go about choosing which pieces to include?
I think I chose pieces that I could see a common theme happening and a common thread, and it just came together with a few past pieces and a few current pieces.
Makes sense.
I have a question too.
Sure.
So if you had a month vacation or a couple months vacation from school,
Mhm.
and all you could do is just make art, what kinds of things do you see yourself doing?
I think I would start where I am right now, and then I would push myself to maybe respond to maybe put myself in a new setting, or, I mean, if I could travel, I would travel, and I'd experience a new place and a sense of space. And I think that's part of what is very inspirational about some work I've done. The piece on that wall is a tracing, so I can find myself or restrain myself to only lines traced from the streets of Baltimore or the studio, the floors of the studio. So, yeah, that's a good question. It'd be fun to just immerse in art. I need to do that more.
That's what summer's for.
Yep, those are great. Perfect for that.
Do you have any other types of media that you want to explore in the future?
I'm thinking painting, maybe taking some of these techniques, and I think about color a lot, but I also think about the challenge of using color. So, or maybe using similar techniques, and how does that work with paint on a canvas, or, I don't know, pushing the boundaries a little bit. Maybe changing up scale. We'll see.
How does this technique kind of restrict you as far as scale goes?
I think you're restrained to the size of the press. So when I did these pieces, the press I had in my studio was only 18 inches wide, so that defined the width of the paper that I could run through the press. I think when you're screen printing, you're restrained with the size, constrained to the size of your screen, and then paper as well.
Yeah.
Define large paper.
Would this technique work on different media, essentially, like wood or?
I've tried it on fabric. I've tried to adhere it or collage it onto wood, and you can get some interesting results, but not directly printing on the wood surface.
It's almost a little disappointing, huh?
No, I think it could work. I think, I printed on some wood paneling, and it's just the contrast wasn't as great, and I think something about the white surface of the paper was appealing. Thank you for the question.
Oh, thank you.